For the first time since Sea of Thieves' release on Steam, it has fallen out of the top 100 most played games. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Today, in this video, I'm going to be going over another video that I made about a year ago and said that I'd make a year later, talking about the state of Sea of Thieves and whether or not it's worth it or if it's a dead game. A quick disclaimer though, this video is coming from someone who has over 7,000 hours on Sea of Thieves, so my thoughts and opinions may be a little bit biased. Nevertheless though, let's get into it. As I did previously mention, for the first time since the release of Sea of Thieves on Steam, way back in 2020, it has fallen out of the top most played games. This is something I noticed 7 days ago and kept track on it for a little bit to see if it would bounce back with the release of the new adventure coming out. But unfortunately, it seems that the game still is nowhere to be seen on that top 100 list. Now, this is true for both the current amount of players and daily players. Even transferring over to Google search results, the entirety of the Google user base have been declining on searches for Sea of Thieves over the last half a year. Meaning that not only are less people playing Sea of Thieves, less people are also interested in searching up information about Sea of Thieves, which does show a stable decline in active player base and interest for Sea of Thieves. However, although Sea of Thieves is on a decline, at the time of recording this video, the 24-hour peak was 10,036, which means regardless of the decline, there were still 10,000 people at one time playing Sea of Thieves on Steam. One of the big problems we have using these analytics for this video is that although it shows how many people are playing the game, it doesn't show the progress they are making. If we have a look over at the Steam yearly achievement activity chart, we can see that 2020-2022, although it is the final 2 months of the year, is the lowest by far in regards of achievement unlocks. This could partly be because of the lack of achievements added into the game, as well as the lack of people willing to complete these achievements to unlock them. In the short-term look of things though, we can see that as of October, there was a peak player count of 19,000, while previously in September, the highest peak player count was 35,000, meaning on Steam alone, almost half of the Sea of Thieves player base have stepped away and not played at all in the month of October. However, this statistic isn't overly surprising considering the lowest player base of all time was recorded in October of 2020, and every October we seem to see a drop of interest in Sea of Thieves, which could partly be because of the big release of games that happens every October and November, and also just because people are finding less interest to play games during this time period. Regardless of the steady decline, there are still 10,000 people every day playing Sea of Thieves, which isn't bad for a game released in 2018. Unfortunately, we do not get to see the Xbox statistics as they are pretty secretive over their stats, but we can tell from the fact Sea of Thieves isn't really promoted as the main Xbox game, that may possibly lead to some evidence that there is a lack of Sea of Thieves players or a decline of Sea of Thieves players on the Xbox client of the game. Now, these stats are all well and good. We can say what we want, we can read the statistics on the internet, but at the end of the day, we sort of have to dive into Sea of Thieves to see how many people are on the seas. And given on my own research, at least for as far as I can tell, there are a significantly less amount of Sea of Thieves players on the Oceanic region, and it has significantly declined in the last 50 or so days. I've also asked this question to my community over on Twitch, and it seems that usually the average consensus is there are a lot less people that are out on the seas, and most of my audience have found they haven't seen half as many people as they did a few months ago. Now, the reason for this decline could be many things. I don't have enough information, nor am I anyone smart enough to know the true cause of this. A couple opinions I have though could be partly because of new games coming out that people are more interested to play, and also partly because Sea of Thieves seasons have been delayed continuously and the adventures are losing popularity month by month. Saying all this is regardless of personal opinion though. Personally, I still find the game enjoyable. However, it is a lot more quiet. Personally, quiet isn't a bad thing, it's also not a good thing, it's just a different way that we play Sea of Thieves currently as opposed to we did either a year or 5 or 6 months ago. So with all the stats out of the way, let's go back to the original question posed at the start of this video. Is Sea of Thieves worth it, and what is the current state of Sea of Thieves? In short, yeah, Sea of Thieves is still worth it for many different reasons. You can still go out and explore the Sea of Thieves world, you can still do missions, voyages, world events, just you probably won't find as many people on the seas looking to either join with you in an alliance or try and fight you for the loot you have, which you know is good or bad depending on your playstyle. It will come down to a personal preference. And furthermore, what is the state of Sea of Thieves? Well, with delayed updates and the Christmas season coming up, I feel like it's only safe to assume that people are going to get really busy and we're going to continue to see a decline on Sea of Thieves players. I don't believe it's going to be anything drastic like we've seen over the last 2 months. It's possible we could see around 7,000 peak players as opposed to 10,000 currently, which you know isn't bad at all for a game that was released in 2018. To say that there are still 7,000 people playing at one given time is a very large number and nothing to be upset about. Personally though, as we start to see the seasons rolling out again and a new roadmap being released, I feel like the hype and interest to Sea of Thieves is going to boost back up. How high that'll be, I personally couldn't tell you. I don't have the answers, but I don't think this decline is going to stay forever. But maybe opinions may be the thing we need to work out here. So in saying that, if you have made it this far through the video, please head down to the comment section and give me your opinion below. Let me know if you think Sea of Thieves is on the decline. Let me know if you think Sea of Thieves is at an all-time peak. What do you think of the game currently, and what do you think of the state of Sea of Thieves? If you've got some friends who play Sea of Thieves, get them to comment as well. Let's have a good, healthy discussion on what you guys think of Sea of Thieves, because at the end of the day, regardless of the stats, it'll come down to how you personally enjoy the game, not how many people are currently playing it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Maybe next year we might make another one, I don't know. And hey, maybe this video was a little bit biased because I still enjoy playing Sea of Thieves all these years later, and I don't think that'll stop anytime soon. With that being said, if you do want to come watch me play Sea of Thieves, head on down to the description and check me out on Twitch, or just type twitch.tv/Synn, S-Y-N-N. Also, just finally, don't forget this video was largely based on statistics that I found on Steam and Google. I did not use Xbox statistics as they are quite hard to track down, if not impossible to. With that being said, guys, hopefully you have a good day, night, evening, afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world. Let me know your opinion on Sea of Thieves and whether or not you still enjoy it down in the comments. And again, feel free to share it with your friends if you want to as well. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but yeah, have a good day, night, evening, afternoon. I'm going to catch you all either on Twitch or the next video I make. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more Sea of Thieves content and content like this video. Goodbye for now.